I am waking up the whole damn neighborhood this morning. Trying to keep the RPMs low so I can be nice and quiet. But anyways, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy RickyMoto. Welcome back to yet another video. It is super freaking early in the morning. Ooh, what the heck is that? Surprisingly a good amount of cars on the road. It's around 9 o'clock in the morning right now. I've been up since like 5. I don't know why. I just couldn't sleep. That's actually been like a trend recently for me. I haven't been able to sleep for a few days now. It's not like I get no sleep at all, but like I only sleep very little, and my sleep sort of schedule is completely weird. Like I've been sleeping a lot earlier, around like 9 to 10 p.m. and that's mainly because I'm hella tired after working, because I've been working like overtime shifts. I wake up at like 1 to 2 a.m. and I'm wide awake, and since I can't fall asleep at that time, I just, you know, start working and doing things for myself. I start focusing on other, like, you know, side projects and whatnot, and I end up getting a lot done. Your boy is currently running off of like 3 hours of sleep, but you know, it's all good though. You know, I feel energetic, I feel nice and calm and chilling. I feel like whenever I'm up early, I have a better sort of mindset, mainly because you know, I feel more productive and I can get a lot done, and it makes me feel good. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to get your parents' approval of riding a motorcycle. This is actually a really common thing, because, you know, I get a lot of DMs, especially because, you know, the people who watch my channel are new riders or people who are interested in getting into motorcycles. One of the biggest things I hear is, you know, parents not being okay with motorcycles. And, you know, I was also part of that squad. My family hates motorcycles, I gotta say. Oh, I just hit 800 miles on a dot. Also, my oil light is flashing. I already did my oil change, but I just haven't reset the light. And I know how hard it can be, and, you know, how frustrating it is. Because, you know, at least for my parents, they were really on my ass about motorcycles. And, you know, I've been wanting to ride since I was like 16, and it took me years to really convince them for me to finally get my first bike. Now, before I get into like what I did to do that and how I kind of eased them in, let's try to understand where they're coming from in the first place. You know, there's a reason why, you know, your parents are telling you to not ride, and I think it's pretty obvious. You know, the main thing is safety, right? Motorcycles are inherently more dangerous than driving a car. I mean, even the statistics show how like the death rate is way higher than a car accident. And that's understandable, because, you know, you don't have a seatbelt, you don't have a covering, you're literally just bare bones. It's just your body, you know. If you get into any sort of accident, you're flipping, you're flying off the bike, and your body is just slamming onto the ground. You know, they don't want you as their child getting hurt. You know, they don't want you dying. But, you know, when you're young and naive and you're kind of reckless, you don't really think about that kind of stuff. You're just like, oh, but like, I want to have fun, you know, like whatever. I totally get that. You know, I'm a 22-year-old, you know, I have my reckless moments, but you do have to be aware of what you're getting yourself into, you know. Understand the risk that you're taking every time you hop on a bike, or even consider getting a motorcycle, the risk that you will be soon to be taking on. And I'm not trying to steer you guys away from riding by saying all this. I just kind of want to bring it to light, you know, because a lot of times I feel like we overlook what we're actually doing and how dangerous of a, you know, sport, so to speak, it is. Now, for my parents specifically, you know, they had a family member who actually got into a motorcycle accident, and they were paralyzed for the rest of their life. So there's some trauma there that, you know, that really weighs on them, and they don't want that happening to me. So they were really concerned when I told them I really wanted to get a motorcycle. I mean, imagine your 16-year-old son coming up to you like, hey, I want to get a motorcycle. But yeah, I think that's the number one reason. It's mainly just the safety of it. Now, I'm pretty sure there's other reasons too, but I don't think they're as important. You know, some things I hear is the practicality. You know, they're like, why would you ride a motorcycle if you can drive? It's more practical. You don't have to worry about the weather. You can carry stuff. You can carry passengers. Yeah, of course, a car is way more useful than a motorcycle is. But the thing is, they're kind of missing the point here of what a motorcycle is designed for. A A motorcycle, yeah, it can be used for transportation, but that's not why it was designed. You know, a motorcycle is a recreational vehicle. You know, even when you're getting insurance, they tell you that this is recreational insurance or something like that. It's not meant to be practical. You know, obviously, if it's raining, snowing, you can't really ride. It's more of a toy. You know, think of it as like getting a bicycle or a skateboard or a scooter. You know, they're not really practical means of transportation. So yeah, that's like mainly what I kind of put together in my head as to, you know, the reasoning why parents may not be okay with getting a motorcycle. So let's talk about how to deal with that and how you can convince your parents to allow you to ride a motorcycle. Now, if you think of it from like a more, I guess, psychological standpoint, there's a disagreement happening, right? You know, that disagreement is because there's a lack of understanding. They don't understand truly why you want a bike. You know, they can make assumptions like, oh, you just want to be reckless and crazy, or does he just want to be cool and follow the crowd? I mean, that could be a reasoning, sure, but I think there's a bigger reason that they're missing out on, which is what's really the motivating factor of why you want to ride in the first place. It's the freedom that the motorcycle can provide, and even the, I guess, therapy for some. The sensation of riding a motorcycle is something that you can't really describe. You know, it's very similar to riding a bicycle, but still different. You feel so free and you feel light, and it relieves a lot of stress. And, you know, I think, you know, as young adults, you are dealing with a lot of stress and a lot of confusion because, you know, a lot of things about the world is still very confusing. And, you know, people sometimes deal with depression or anxiety, and you just need to do something for yourself. You know, it's totally understandable. But the thing is, your parents don't really understand that sometimes, especially because they come from a different generation than we do. You know, we are young adults in this new era, and everything is completely different. The best way to get your parents on the same page is to explain to them why you want to ride and the benefit of it. Because focusing on the dangers of it is not going to really get you anywhere. You can talk about the whole like stress relieving freedom part. You can talk about how it's, you know, cost effective because motorcycles are cheap, they're easy to maintain, they're also, you know, really good on gas, especially nowadays. I don't know if that's a really good excuse or not. Like, hey, you know, the crazy gas prices now, save some money by getting a motorcycle. Also, if you want to get one for commuting, if you're a student, you know, it's so much easier to navigate around traffic with a motorcycle. You'll never be late, and you can learn a lot about mechanics. You know, there's a lot of benefits. Whatever the benefits are, you want to communicate that with them. Now, if they're still kind of on the fence about it and they're not really willing, or they don't have enough trust in you that you're going to be safe on it, you got to kind of build trust with your parents. You know, for me, I kind of had a bad record with my parents. Like, based on the way I drive, they were like hella hesitant on me getting a motorcycle because they know I speed when I drive. So they're like, oh, for sure, if we get a motorcycle, you're going to ride like a maniac. Which I do sometimes. They're not wrong about it. But, you know, for a while, whenever I'm driving and they're with me, I will start to drive really slow and kind of build that trust with them. But like, I will start to play like motorcycle videos and like motor vlogs on like the TV with the Apple TV. First they were like, why keep on watching this stuff, like yada yada yada. But like, as time went on, they kind of like saw the interactions and the community that comes with it, and they started slowly understanding the motorcycle community. So you just kind of have to ease them into it by like just getting them more accustomed to it and showing them there's a lot more than just the dangers. There are a lot of pros that can outweigh those dangers, and you know, that's like a big part of riding. You know, that's why people ride. We are aware of how dangerous it is, yet we still do it, and that's because the pros that come with it are a lot more, you know, a bigger of a deal compared to the dangers that come with it. Now, there's a lot of safety practices they can do to mitigate those risks and actually be safe, because a lot of motorcycle accidents is mainly because of other cars not being able to see you. You know, it's less about the actual rider themselves. So you do have to be very aware on the road, and you know, you have to be always constantly looking for escape points, and you know, to really develop your rider skill. Now, something I did that kind of put a little bit of peace into my parents' mind is told them that I was gonna ride on local roads only for a while. You know, I didn't go on the highway when I first got my bike, and that kind of made them ease into it and like be okay with it, because they kind of was scared about the highway, mainly because of the, you know, higher speeds, and you know, if I get into an accident, the amount of damage that would be done to my body at a high-speed crash. Convinced them that I was only gonna ride on the city streets for a while, and I did that for about 6 months or so before I started actually going on the highway. And when I started doing that, they were a little bit on the fence again. They're like, oh my gosh, why are you going on the highway, da-da-da. But you know, as I explained to them, you know, they kind of realized how highway riding could be actually safer than city riding, because there's less sort of cars changing lanes and cutting in and out and turns and stop and go. My parents are actually really hard to convince, so I'm still kind of shocked that I was able to do it. And like the way my parents function is that they kind of want to see proof. You know, they don't want to just hear, you know, what I say. So if your parents are also like that, the way I kind of proved that riding is not that dangerous was I let them watch. You know, I would ride around town and they would follow me behind me in the car. And like they got a feel for how, you know, the actual environment of it is, and they saw how like it's really not as bad as it seems. Now that was kind of one thing, but it still wasn't enough. So another thing that I did to kind of get them to be more okay with it was I actually brought them directly onto the saddle. I told them, hey, why don't you get a feel for what a motorcycle is actually like, rather than kind of judging it from the outside. So I actually taught my dad how to ride a motorcycle in an empty parking lot. And you know, he was really scared at first, but you know, he kind of got the hang of it. And after he started riding a little bit, he almost instantaneous kind of like woke up in a way, and he's like, oh, okay, it's really not that bad. You know, he's like, it's actually very like easy to control, it's not scary, it's not like you're about to kill yourself type of energy. Even share your passions, share that sort of joy that you have about motorcycles with them, even like physically, like for real, like let them sit on the bike and get a feel for it. Now those are all the methods that I've used to kind of get my parents to be more okay with it. Basically just communicate with them, you know, what it's all about, and get them, you know, educated and on the same page mentally first. They don't understand it, you know, you tend to crap on things you don't really understand. My situation was slightly different as well. Like I know I kind of explained all these little methods I did, which I, you know, actually did do. The way I actually got my bike was, I don't know if it was the best way to do it. I kind of just got it, you know, like I told them, like it was years, you know, I was 16 when I first wanted a bike, and it was only until I was 21 that I actually got my first bike. And I basically just told them, hey, look, it's been a while now, I know you guys still are kind of sketched out about me riding a motorcycle, but it's something that I really want to do. You know, it's something that I am passionate about, something I've always dreamed of. I just went to the dealership and just bought a bike. And just like that, you know, I got my first bike, and they weren't really happy about it. When I first brought it home, they're like, holy cow, you actually did it. And you know, they would never let me actually go out with the bike, but I would just always go out and ride. Hopefully some of these methods may, you know, be helpful for you. I mean, you know, it's always different for everyone else. I just think the best method is just communication, right? So that will be the first stepping stone of getting a motorcycle. But yeah, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been your boy RickyMoto. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.